Hello everyone, welcome back to another analysis video. This is Grandmaster Jamil Ali Marandi, also known as JJ, and now I would like to analyze game number 3 of day number 3, the final day of the Lindores Abbey Rapid Challenge final. And in this game, Daniil Dubov is playing with the white pieces and Hikaru Nakamura is playing with the black pieces. In this game, Hikaru managed to fight back. Although he lost game number 2, which I did analyze previously, he was able to succeed and come back in game number 3. So let's check out how he actually did manage to fight back, because it's not an easy way to come back at a must-win situation, especially if you're playing with the black pieces. c4, e5, knight c3, knight c6, knight f3, and here already Hikaru decides to take some measures. He plays the move f5. Obviously, f5 is not the very first move which comes to your mind, and it's not even the main move. The main move is simply to play knight f6. But f5 definitely shows some spirit of, I want to fight, I have to come back to the match, I can't let the match go into the 4th game, where even though I'm playing with the white pieces, I have to fight back. And f5 was played. Here Dubov plays the most principled move, d4, e4, knight g5, and bishop b4 was played. Bishop b4 is not the main move, I think. Knight f6, according to my database, is the main move. But bishop b4 was the preferred move in this game. Here Dubov decides to go d5, which is actually way off compared to the main line. But you don't necessarily have to play the main lines at all times. Obviously, there's a lot of creativity involved in the game of chess. But the main line, according to my database, is knight h3. With the idea to put the knight on f4, it's a little bit more secure and it's more balanced there, since it is not attacked by the queen at all times. But obviously knight h3 is just one of the moves which is possible. A sample game I saw went like knight f6, e3, bishop c3, pawn c3, d6, knight f4, castles, and h4. So this is a position which has happened in the database multiple times. Obviously white has the bishop pair, but black has its own advantages. He has better development, maybe a good share of the center, and I mean the position is roughly equal. But d5 was played. d5 actually is not the greatest move, because after knight e5, queen b3, bishop c5 was played, and now you can easily see that this knight on e5 can't be really disturbed, and this knight on g5 is a little outside still. It has not recovered. So he plays knight h3, knight f6, knight a4. So both knights on the corner, and it's not the best advice to put the knight on the corner, but obviously Dubov probably had some things in mind. Bishop e7, bishop f4, knight g6, and here Dubov plays the move d6. His idea is clear. He's suggesting that after c takes d6, knight c3, the bishop on c8 is going to be locked down for a long time because of the pawns, which can't be advanced really. The d7 pawn can't really move. But in this position, I feel like this is a move Dubov missed or underestimated. Hikaru plays this move d5. He tells Dubov basically, you have to take or not, it doesn't matter. I'm going to play d6 eventually and get my bishop out. And the point is, if you take on d5, I go knight takes f4, knight takes f4, bishop d6, and this is just a sample line, it doesn't have to be this way. After e3 I go a6, so I cover all the knight b5 jumps, because previously you could not play knight b5. That would be a fatal mistake because I take the knight on f4. So that's why e3 is defending the knight, and now after a6 black can simply castle, and let's say white castles, and black can just go g5 and h6, and you can easily see that the knight on h3 is completely out of the game, and black has so much space on the king side. And he's going to go b6, bishop b7, target the d5 pawn. Black king is completely safe because there's absolutely no way you get to this king on g8. So this would have been better. So Dubov is basically not touching the pawn on d5. But Hikaru doesn't care. He wants Dubov to take. So this pawn stays there for a few moves until h6, castles, bishop e6. So now basically Hikaru's like, you got to take my pawn. If you don't take it, well, I might end up taking your pawn and then be simply up a pawn, or just not care at all. I might just go like rook c8. Who knows? So knight d5, bishop d5, c d5, and here critical move queen b6. Black does want to trade the queens, and The reason is that after, let's say, queen b6, a b6, this helps black quite a bit because of the open file, and maybe there are ideas with like knight e5, knight d7, bishop f6. So all these pawns are going to be weak, and black does have decent chances because this knight on h3 will have a long time getting back into the game. Rook c1 was played. The queens were not traded by Dubov, but Hikaru just takes them off and goes rook c8. He doesn't want to lose the control of the c file. Both sides are actually fighting for this file now. Rook c4. White wants to double up on the c file. Knight d7. Might not be the best move objectively, but it has a clear idea of putting the knight on b6 or bringing the other knight to e5 with the idea of chasing this rook out of the c file. Maybe a better move could have been knight e5. But after, let's say, takes, rook c1, rook takes, and maybe this was the line where Hikaru didn't want to play, but let's say after pawn takes, there's this move, rook c8. And if you take with the rook, let's say, now I can actually take on d5. So maybe he did not want to go for this to give up the c file. He might not have seen the way forward, but this is a clean pawn. So this could have been played instead of knight d7, but after rook c1, knight b6, rook takes c8, rook takes c8. All the pieces came off. And here Dubov plays a very nice move, g4. The reason it's very nice is white somehow has to get his knights into the game. Otherwise, there is no point. Like white has to get his knight and even the bishops into the game, which you're not really doing a lot. So after fg, bishop g4, knight b6, Dubov plays this move, bishop g3, with the idea of going knight f4. Notice that black can't take the pawn because after bishop e6 check, white simply wins material. So knight h4 was played, and after knight f4, knight f3 check. So white actually improved his knight, but also black did the same thing. If you take, I obviously take, and this is not going to be great since black will eventually be in a better position. So king g2, chasing the knight away, knight d2, and in this position bishop f5 was played. Maybe another interesting move was knight e2, probably one of the best moves, and obviously these are not easy to find in a rapid time control. The idea is to go knight to c3, hit the pawn on e4, and after knight d2 to go knight b5, hitting two more pawns. So knight e2 would have been a very nice move, but instead bishop f5 was played, with the idea that after knight takes b3, which happened in the game, bishop takes e4 is the idea. Here Hikaru plays knight c4, and in this position Dubov played the most human move, knight d3, which actually defends the pawn on b2, but unfortunately this is the losing mistake, I should say. After a5, the game was very one-sided. But why is knight d3 so bad? And we're going to see it in the game, but what was the right move? The right move, which I showed it by mistake, was bishop c2. And of course, this is not very human move to spot. But the point is that after a move like knight to a1, apparently white can go bishop a4. I mean, this is very, very hard. Like, you have to understand this. These are not human moves. But the point is, once you understand the point, it actually kind of makes sense. But again, this is not easy. Once again, I repeat that. Knight takes b2, knight g6. Like, if you move your bishop to d8, I can go bishop e8, and next move I'm going to pick up this pawn. Eventually, at some point, even if you go like knight c4, I have moves like bishop b5, attacking your knight and picking up this pawn eventually. So, bishop d8 is not really the move. King f7, knight h8, king g8, knight g6, and it will be a repetition. So, it is very hard, of course, to find this maneuver, bishop c2 to a4, and even to e8 in some lines. This is just a little crazy, but of course, it was the big chance for Dubov. After knight d3, well, a5, bishop f3, b5, and the pawns were just strong enough to win eventually. And Hikaru created a pass pawn on the a file, and there was absolutely nobody who can defend it. Knight takes d5, very nice tactic. The point is obviously if you take, I simply push. Even if you take, now I can just move the king pretty much anywhere. And this is just the end of the story. So after knight a2, king f8, bishop a4, knight e4, and the knight was dislodged on a2, and then black slowly but surely won the game. So he brought the pieces, and he does promote. And after bishop g3, Dubov was like, yeah, I had enough. I'm going to lose another piece. after, let's say, knight g3, there's queen c3 check, picking up the bishop. And let's say after h takes g3, king takes f5, and this is another piece. So black wins more material, and therefore Dubov decided to resign. And hopefully you enjoyed the game analysis. Obviously there's a lot more which has happened, but the main intention is not to bore you guys and show the most basic of what has happened in these games. So if you liked the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There will be more content, more analysis, more streams coming up on Twitch, so make sure you check out that too. I'm playing a lot of live chess, and let's grow this channel together. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the decisive Armageddon video coming up soon.